Halloween should be the time of the year that people can celebrate the spooky and sinister side of life in a fun way, but that doesn't mean that those willing to commit crime have the night off. Join me as we count down 10 crimes and mysteries that occurred around this frightful time of year. 10. The murder of Orange Socks. On Halloween 1979, the body of a young woman was found in a culvert on Interstate 35 in Georgetown, Texas. The only item of clothing the woman wore was a pair of orange socks, which gave rise to her nickname. An autopsy determined that the unidentified woman had been murdered. She had been strangled and sexually assaulted. 2 matchbooks were found at the scene, one of which came from a hotel in Henrietta, Oklahoma. This suggested that the woman may have been a hitchhiker. Serial killer Henry Lee Lucas confessed to the murder of Orange Socks in 1982, but there is no physical evidence connecting him to the murder. Orange Socks has yet to be identified. 9. The disappearance of Cindy Song. Cindy Song was a Pennsylvania State University senior who vanished on Halloween night 2001. Dressed as a Playboy bunny, Sydney spent the night partying with friends at Play's nightclub before being dropped off at her apartment at 4 a.m. This was to be the last time that the student was seen or heard from. Cindy was reported missing by friends on the 4th of November after contact with her ceased. Her apartment was searched and nearly all of her personal belongings were found there, including the false eyelashes Cindy had worn as part of her Halloween costume. Cindy's keys and her purse, which contained her credit cards and driver's license, were the only items missing. It's believed that Cindy left her apartment to go to a 24-hour supermarket and that she was abducted as she walked there or from the store itself. A few days after the disappearance, a woman matching Cindy's description was seen being forced into a car by an unidentified man in Philadelphia. Cindy's case has been linked to convicted bank robber Hugo Selensky after 12 bodies were found on his property. Cindy has yet to be identified as one of his victims, and her case remains unsolved. Number 8. The death of the Key West newborn. Early on Halloween morning 2004, a housekeeper at the Hilton Resort and Marina Hotel in Key West, Florida, found a deceased newborn baby in a restroom garbage bin. The baby still had its umbilical cord and placenta attached. The authorities say that DNA evidence and finger and palm prints were found at the scene. The baby is believed to have been born around 2 a.m., which is the same time a woman, accompanied by 3 men, spent at least 40 minutes in a very restroom where the baby was found. Surveillance footage provided no clues, but a security guard reported that the men told him that their female friend was sick from too much partying. The security guard escorted the group from the hotel after the woman left the bathroom holding her stomach. The case was featured on America's Most Wanted and is still unsolved. Number 7. The death of Chris Jenkins. University of Minnesota student Chris Jenkins disappeared in downtown Minneapolis in 2002 after spending Halloween night partying. 4 months later, Chris's body was found in the Mississippi River. He was still wearing his Halloween costume. Chris's blood alcohol level was above the legal limit, which led to his drowning being classified as accidental. Then, in 2006, Chris's case took an unexpected turn. Police received a tip from a prisoner who was being described by the authorities as a witness or a suspect. This tip resulted in the cause of death being changed to homicide. According to the police, the prisoner has knowledge of the crime scene, including the location. Chris's death has also been linked to the smiley face murders theory. This theory suggests that the drowning deaths of around 40 male college students could be the work of a serial killer. In some of these cases, smiley face graffiti was found near the area the victim drowned. According to this theory, these deaths are connected, and the murders have been made to look like accidental drownings. No smiley face graffiti was found in the case of Chris Jenkins, and his murder remains unsolved. Number 6. The murder of Martha Moxley. Martha Moxley was a 15-year-old high school student who was found murdered on Halloween 1975. She lived in Greenwich, Connecticut, and had spent the previous evening at a Halloween party at the home of the Skakel family, who lived across the street from her. Martha was last seen with Thomas Skakel near the Skakel family's pool around 9:30 p.m. Martha's body was found the following day under a tree in her family's backyard. A broken 6-iron golf club was found near her body, and the club was traced back to the Skakel home. An autopsy confirmed that she had been bludgeoned and stabbed with the club. In 2002, Michael Skakel, who was 15 at the time of the murder, was found guilty of killing Martha and was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. In 2013, however, Michael was granted a new trial on the grounds that his attorney failed to adequately represent him at his 2002 trial. Michael has been released from prison on bail. Number 5. Carl Jackson. Carl Jackson had only just turned 21 and was working as a Morgan Stanley data entry clerk when he was murdered on Halloween 1998. That night, Carl was on his way with his girlfriend to pick up her son from the children's party when a group of teenagers began throwing eggs at their car. When Carl confronted the teenagers, one of them pulled out a gun and shot Carl once in the head. He died instantly. Carl's killer remains in jail today, and every Halloween he receives a card from Carl's mother that reads, "I'm glad you're still there." Number 4. The Lisk family murders. After attending church on Halloween 2010, Devin Griffin returned to his mother's home in Martin, Ohio, to find that his mother, Susan, stepfather, William, and brother Derek had been murdered. Initially, Devin believed that someone was playing a Halloween prank on him, but when reality hit, the authorities were called. Susan had been raped and shot 3 times in the head, William had been shot 5 times in the head, and Derek had been bludgeoned with a claw hammer. William's son, BJ, was arrested and was later found guilty of the murders at trial. He blamed the crimes on his long history with mental illness. BJ committed suicide in prison in 2015. Number 3. The murder of Chaim Weiss. Chaim Weiss was a 15-year-old high school student at an Orthodox Jewish school in Long Beach, New York. He was found murdered in his dorm room the day after Halloween in 1986. He had been killed by a single blow to his head that severed his spine. The murder weapon was never found, but it seems that Chaim's killer was familiar with the customs of Orthodox Judaism. The window in the student's room was open, a custom which is often done to let the deceased person's spirit out. After the murder, one of the school's rabbis left a candle in the room in memory of the teenager. The room was then sealed, but days later a second candle was found in the room. Police feel that the killer knew the dormitory's layout, as well as the fact that Chaim was one of only 2 students without a roommate. To this day, Chaim's murderer remains at large. Number 2. The murder of Tony Bagley. Tony Bagley was a young boy living in North Las Vegas at the time of Halloween 1994. Dressed as a skeleton, he headed out with his family in order to trick or treat. As the family celebrated Halloween, an unknown gunman began shooting at them. Tony was shot in the head and killed. His mother, sister, and aunt were also shot, but they survived. The family has theorized the shooting may have been revenge for a bad drug deal in connection with Tony's father. Years later, Tony's father, Anthony Bagley, was convicted of murder in an unrelated case. Tony's case was featured on America's Most Wanted and has yet to be solved. Number 1. The murder of Timothy O'Brien. At the time of Halloween in 1974, Ronald O'Brien was in financial trouble. Many would try and seek help in these circumstances, but Ronald decided to turn to murder in order to claim money on a life insurance policy. His victim was his own son, Timothy. Ronald gave Timothy, his daughter, and 3 other children pixie sticks that he had laced with potassium cyanide. Timothy was the only child to consume the poison sweet, and he died on his way to the hospital less than an hour after eating the treat. Ronald was investigated for murder after Timothy's autopsy revealed that his Halloween candy had been poisoned. Ronald had taken out more than one life insurance policy on his children, and he had recently visited a chemical supply store. In 1975, Ronald was found guilty of murder and 4 counts of attempted murder, and became the first inmate in Texas to be executed by lethal injection in 1984. As his execution took place, people gathered outside the prison shouting, "Trick or treat." Thank you for watching this countdown list on Halloween crimes and mysteries. I wish you pleasant nightmares.